y'all, I'm Jordan with AviNation, and this is TramTalk at SUNnFUN. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself and who you're with.
I'm Chris Collins. I'm the airport director at Vernon Outland Airport, Mount Vernon, Illinois. Most people at the shows know me as the Midwest Aviation Expo guy.
Okay, I want to talk about that. First of all, before we get into the really juicy questions, can you tell us the dates for the upcoming one?
September 4, 5, and 6.
Guys, you're definitely not going to want to miss that. I was there last year. I had a blast. Great air show. What are you looking forward to this year at the show?
Honestly, it's a real simple answer, just having the family back to my airport that I run. You know, I consider everybody here as family, and it's just great to have everybody for 3 or 4 days.
For sure. So can you tell us a little bit of the behind the scenes? What's it like for you putting this together and working on this?
I have great volunteers, and they pretty much run everything. They're there early, they set everything up, and then they check on all the visitors during the entire run of the show, and then tear it all down. And I just get to be a politician and walk around and say welcome and watch everything and keep everything safe.
You honestly have a really cool job. What's your favorite part of it?
Oh, back to the people part. You know, just interacting with people and all my friends, and knowing people from across the country.
For sure. And when you're planning this, is there certain things that you have to take into consideration?
Making sure that everybody's needs are met. You know, if they have a specific request, we try to fulfill that.
Definitely.
That's a simple answer, but that doesn't get any more simpler than that.
No, that is very important.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys have a really cool air show. I love the atmosphere, but would you like to tell from your point of view, what sets you guys apart? What makes your guys' show that much better?
Yeah, that's a great question. How we differentiate from the other bigger places, and we never tried to be the bigger places, but what we want to do is offer a facility where people can fly their airplanes. They come in from across the country, and if they're shopping for either a high wing or a low wing or a STOL, they have a chance to sample the different manufacturers at one place, and could go up multiple times if they wanted to.
I love that. And you guys were having a competition kind of last year, were you not?
No.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, that was called the Daily Demo Derby. And obviously what we want to do is try to really make the airport have a lot of operations during the 3 days. And so we combine the two aspects of enhancing operations and then also getting people to fly airplanes. So we task the exhibitors to try to have a little friendly competition and see who could do the most demo flights every day. And then we give them a $100 gift card. And it was very competitive for the last 2 years.
Yes, I noticed that. What's your favorite part about that competition?
Sitting out, we have a safety radio comm area out at midfield, and just sitting there and watching all the operations.
That would be so cool to experience from your point of view, obviously. What's your favorite memory from your air show over all the years? I know it's probably hard to pick one, but just what comes to mind right now?
Wow. You know what? Most of us that's been doing this a long time, it's interacting with Dave Loveman. You know, the Dan and Dave show. And the bantering that those two had going on that no one saw except us, like your dad, you know. And everybody would come up, and Dan was the star, and Dave would, you know, he would play off of that. And so some of my team and I would always go to Dave instead of Dan. And Dave always loved that.
You guys always had a free show, and I love that for you guys. What got you onto this path? Like, how did you end up with this job in this position?
Airport-wise or the expo?
The expo.
The expo. Years ago, we had the Jabbery dealer on our field, and Pete Crotty was the importer at the time, and Pete and Eric Evans, our Jabbery dealer, were talking that there needed to be another show like Sebring, where people could fly the different airplanes. And so that's how it all got kicked off. I remember it was at a hotel restaurant on the west side of Mount Vernon. They said, well, where would we have such a show? And we said, well, what about Mount Vernon? And that's what got it kicked off. And then most of the credit goes to Bob Wood from Sebring. Bob took me under his wing and showed me how to do all of it, and we're still doing the Bob Wood stuff today.
What was the biggest lesson you learned while putting this show together and just through the years of running this?
Kind of hard to answer it. Convincing the exhibitor base that Mount Vernon, Illinois was worthy of coming to, and that we could actually pull off an event that was beneficial to the industry. And I think we've done that with years after years of sales.
For sure. And I love that you guys have it in that town. How does the town react to that? I'm sure you guys have great interaction.
Town loves it. My town is very pro airport. They love to see and hear the airplanes, and when we're not making noise, they get upset. It's kind of opposite in most places.
Okay, and I'd like to shift to you more personally. What got you into aviation? How did you catch that bug?
Always wanted to be in aviation, and I was one of those kids that was told that my eyesight was too bad, my grades weren't high enough, my parents didn't make enough money, and I drank the Kool-Aid and listened to all that, didn't try, and became an engineer, which is nothing wrong with that. But after I got my engineering degree and started working professionally, I learned to fly, and I became the airport kid, and before you know it, people were saying, let the airport kid run the airport.
That's great.
So that's how I got into it, and there was some politics involved, and I found my path.
How did you overcome everyone telling you that and get to the point where you decided, okay, I don't care about that, I want to do this?
Just doing, but then also with a sense of never letting those kind of things occur to anybody that I was interacting with anymore. So that's why I try to give back by Young Eagle rides, career fairs, anytime I could talk to the youth. That way I can tell my story and say, don't let people tell you that can't be done, because there's always a way, and usually it's not the way that a book says, there's another way around it.
For sure, and I think a lot of it is a mentality thing, for sure. I would say that your story is really cool, and I think there's so many people who have such a burning passion, and they want to be at the airports, but they maybe don't know how to go about it. And you said you were the airport kid. What advice would you give to those kids who have the passion and they want to be plugged in, but they just don't know how?
Visit the local airport. There's people at every airport that are like me that want to get involved with youth. They just want to be involved and they want to give back. Every airport has them. And so just go out there. And then most airports have an EAA chapter. So get involved in the Young Eagle program. And then usually the Young Eagle program will kind of go into like a youth aviation club or something that the chapter promotes. And there's a lot of mentorship there in the EAA circles.
Okay, and we're going to end on a very high note. We're at SUNnFUN. Obviously, you love air shows. You're an air show guy, right? What has been your favorite part so far?
I like seeing the Raptor fly, or the F-35, and formation flights, honor flights, those kind of things. Anytime there's something with jet power that goes by, it's got my attention.
Yes, I'm always looking up at the sky. It's so cool here. Well, thank you so much for joining us.